is like when we have a client book an artist, we would basically like on the forms, we have like a snippet of code that triggers Firestore. It should be this. So basically what it does is we import our NoSQL database from Firebase. And over here, we're creating a new collection called contact messages and a document ID. And then under that document, it's like built in kind of like a hierarchy or a tree structure. So now we have for that ID, we have a messages, and then we add all the artist information in there. That answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
No problem.
Guys, I just want to congratulate you guys again. This is an amazing application. I really am like obsessed with UI and UX design. So I'm just curious, what libraries did you guys use, if any? I know like Bootstrap is really popular. I'm just curious if you guys did use any or just stuck to like CSS, vanilla CSS.
That's a great question. Thank you for that. Originally, we were originally thinking of using vanilla CSS, but we kept getting a lot of feedback that our UI UX was not up to par. So we just decided to, 8 weeks actually into the capstone, we just decided to overhaul the whole vanilla CSS and decided to implement React Bootstrap into our app. What helped was that it was easy to read in the documentation. So Marvin and I we spent the whole day together trying to review the documentations and seeing. We visited a lot of frameworks like Material UI, regular Bootstrap, React Bootstrap, SAS. But we figured that Bootstrap, considering the time frame, we only had 2 weeks left in the whole project. We decided that React Bootstrap was the best way to go, simply because we could just grab, copy, and paste from the documentation and add into our app. Also, I was also comfortable with the grid box in CSS, so we used that a lot all throughout. We also like sat down and discussed the color scheme to use, because we went through like 3 color schemes throughout the whole process of the app, and we decided to go with like 2 basic colors, black and green. We got the inspiration from Spotify because we are big music fans, so we decided to get inspired by that website. So we used kind of sort of like inspiration from that site.
Great, thank you for answering that, and good choice with the colors. I really love. I know that you guys mentioned using Firebase, and so I'm just curious if you guys deployed.
Yes, we are deployed.
Deployed, but using Firebase, or do you guys use another source for deploying, like Heroku, Nullify, or do you guys?
So for deployment, we have our backend deployed to Heroku, and our front end is going through Netlify currently.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have a follow-up question, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Can you tell like all the stack you use, like all the libraries? And then a question also about Firebase. Is there like a limitation? Is it free? Like if it's free, is there a limitation to like the data, like, or like how many, I don't know how you measure this in Firebase, but yeah.
I know for a fact that if our app continues growing, the thing with Firebase is when it's free when the memory is low, but once the app starts getting bigger, the Google starts charging. But right now we're not there yet, so right now we don't have to pay. But if the app does grow, we will have to pay.
Do you know the limit? Sorry for interrupting you.
The limit, from the top of my head, no, I do not know. Does anybody in my group know?
Not at the
Not
moment.
I can't recollect it, but
Yeah, but for a fact, once that app gets bigger and we have more users and we store more data into Firestore and into our Firebase database, we will eventually have to pay. And as to the libraries that we use, honestly, we used a lot. This is a really big app. We ended up using React Toolkit in order to store states. I'm pretty sure Marvin could
Sure.
expand
Yeah.
on that.
So in order to build our front end, we used React JS because it was just sort of like a fluid way to build a UI. And then we also wanted to implement local state management so that we can have access to certain variables throughout the entirety of the app. So in order to make that happen with that, we had a store made, and we were keeping track of certain things like modal states, loading states, and also variables that will contain data like search results arrays like that. So we can access them, iterate through that, and display that for the user. We used, as mentioned before, we used Bootstrap, which is the library for the UI UX, and as well as a bunch of other ones like Video React, React Player, Moment.js for formatting. And we, like Henry mentioned, the app is very large. So we were experimenting with a lot of different libraries and just trying to find a way to make the experience a lot more smooth, especially when we were doing the 8-week overhaul. Due to the time strain of the 8-week overhaul, we were like, okay, we need to adjust the rest of the code to be cleaner, and so that we can sort of make it a bit more organized on our end. We were working with an app that was growing fairly large. So I hope that answers your question.
And
It does. Thank you.
we got time for one more quick question, if anyone's got it.
Marvin, who are you wearing tonight?
Well, it's great that you asked, Henry. I actually don't know, but whoever it is, thank you very much for the suit.
Cool.
I can add some more question if nobody is for
Yeah, I
it.
think we got one more before
Yeah.
people start rotating in.
Sure. Is React, you said React Toolkit, kind of an easy way to do like Redux?
Yes.
Is
So yeah, Redux Toolkit is it was released fairly recently, if I'm not mistaken, around like 2018 or 2019. Years a bit suspect to me. So with Redux, there's a lot of boilerplate code, especially with the interaction between actions and reducers and stuff like that. And Redux Toolkit sort of offers a way to make it a more seamless experience with the usage of slices. So what slices does is that you're able to not only keep track of an initial state, but you can also write your actions. And when you in the story, you can import them as reducers. So everything is in all of that boilerplate code is compressed into one section, and that one section is easily accessible through the usage of those slices. So say if I wanted to get all of the search results, I can easily key into our store, look up the variable search results, grab that array, and manipulate it to my liking.
Cool.
That's
All right,
good to
well,
know. Thank you.
Thanks so much for Rody. We're going to go ahead and rotate now. So
thank you
for having us.
guys.
Thank you
Thanks so
guys.
much.
Thank you guys.
Rody's going to move on. Other people are going to come on in, and here they come now. So what I'm also going to put in chat for people who are here is a link to a form that we have. If you have either by the end of tonight, hopefully you'll fill out one of these for each of the groups that you get to see to give them some feedback. So the group that you just saw was Rody, and there should be a choose a team select option that you can go and put down here. So ideally just fill out a quick one of these for everyone you see so you can give them some good feedback here. And it looks like we got the first member of We Rise coming in.
Oh, hey, Deja. Hey.
Hey guys, Deja, good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. Yes.
Cool. How was that?
Oh, how was it? Really?
Oh, wow. That was amazing, guys.
Yeah, guys, you
Thank
did an
you.
amazing job. Like you killed it.
Oh, it was
I was ready
tough.
to nervous breakdown like 5 times.
At least 5 times. Yesterday we had a nervous breakdown. We weren't even coding. It was just breaking this little stuff. Like,
Trust me, I've been there. Been there. No, we have like a group chat and I was texting everyone. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so impressed with like the UI and the UX. Like everything looks so flawless. It's neat and you guys were like, I can't like even say one group looked better than the other. They just all looked so wonderful. And so I want to pass that on and tell you guys like super impressed. I want to know like color schemes, why you picked those colors. I'm just like, I love the design aspect of things. So I'm just, you guys want to give me a little bit about that? Like what libraries do you guys choose to use? It can be very brief.
No, Nilbert, Nilbert has the great backstory of why he picked the colors and everything. Like, and start from there. Start from there.
I mean, it wasn't like
also,
got like epiphany.
Just a follow up. Also, I'm just curious, like, what led you guys to want to create this application in the first place? If there's anything, yeah, I'll leave it at that. What was your inspiration for this?
So a few years ago, there was this, little app that I used to love, and it was a calendar app. It was called Sunrise. And I loved it, not necessarily because of the design, but just because it was so helpful with what I did. And so the color scheme was inspired by that. And as I was thinking about Sunrise and thinking about, okay, like this is what our app's gonna be about, because it's like we wanted an app all about community and social justice, especially in light of what's happening today in the world. And that's where it kind of popped, like, oh, we rise like a sunrise, and and it's like, and these are like sunrise colors basically. And so from there, we created our baby.
Great, thank you. I don't know if anyone else has a question, but I definitely want to ask about deployment. I asked the previous group, and they mentioned that they use two different sources. They use Heroku, I believe. I forgot if it was for the back end, and then they use Nullify for the front end. And I'm curious what application that you guys use for deployment.
Yeah, we use the same. I use Heroku for the back end, and I store that. Of course, Firebase is store, the users' information, their profile information, and Netlify to deploy it fully.
Follow-up question on that is, I believe you did the user authentication as well, right? How did you handle this? Was it a JSON token or something else?
No, Jay started that up with Firebase per se.
Yeah. So hi everybody. Good afternoon. The user authentication, we're doing it using Firebase. So Firebase do have an auth where it takes in a sign up and a sign in, and it handles all of that for us.
Is it like kind of built in on Firebase? Is that what you mean?
So like,
go ahead, David.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, can you repeat that?
Yeah. I said, is it like kind of built in Firebase? It's like a couple functions that belongs to Firebase. Okay. Cool.
Yes. It's Firebase functions that we're using that sends the information, consisted of the email address and the password. We don't save it in our database. It saves to Firebase, and Firebase handles the email address, checking email address and the password.
Did you then have to get that information and store and do something else with it? Like when you sign up, do you want to persist the email to a user object? And then if that's something that you did you do that through Firebase or through like your backend or through your client or something else?
Well, yeah, we started through our backend. We also like the object as well. It was like probably the second time we really used Firebase, so it was like a lot of hiccups as well. But yeah, it was pretty expensive.
Like based on the info we got from the authentication feature, we would then do a request for the user info in our Postgres database, and that's how we know the current user.
Firebase would send us back what we would call a UID, which is like a long ID that we then save in our Postgres database.
Gotcha. And that's like the user ID that you're persisting?
And that's, yeah.
Okay, so and then this user ID is sent with the request, like each time you do a request from the front end. Is that right? Or
No, because we were using, so it would persist in our state. So we use Redux Toolkit. And then, you know, as long as the user, for that user session, it would persist the user information. So it would be just one call for that session.
so you kind of have also like a session storage in the backend?
No.
No, we were using so we were for state management we're using Redux Toolkit. So that was we were storing that data. It wasn't like in browser. It was more so using Redux.
Cool, thank you.
So what do you end up using again for your like live video chatting feature?
Jitsi.
Jitsi.
Was you the sorry? Was it your group that ended up debugging something from the issues page, or is that a different group? So
Yeah.
what was that? What was that issue? I'm curious. Like what did you run into, and then what other ticket did a user open that you ended up running into to resolve?
It wouldn't load. Like the component would not load whatsoever with the original code, and the issue was like found in the sandbox. And Jay, like I totally was like so frustrated. I was like, Jay, please, I can't take it. And then Jay worked with Corey. Corey was like, you should check in the issues. And then, you know, there go Jay, found it right there in the issues and saved the day.
What was the fix?
So it was kind of weird because even on their GitHub, they also had a live demo where their live demo wasn't working at all as well. So going through and just like looking through their GitHub and trying to figure out what it was, we couldn't. So then Corey told us to go to the issue. So apparently they updated their loading component on Jitsi, which was just re-rendering that loading component and never getting to the video chat. So they have this way that you could configure like the different things on Jitsi. So somebody had the code of how they were configuring the exact steps. So what they were doing was skipping that loading component and going straight into the video component.
Interesting. Yeah. I find that such a validating moment as a developer when you are like, I keep doing this wrong, I'm messing up, and you're like, oh no, it's actually the tool I'm using this time.
Actually the tool, yeah.
It's great to be able to resolve something like that.
Yeah. It was a great feeling. Definitely.
I got plenty more things I can ask, but what other questions do we got? Got a couple more minutes left.
Okay. To compliment on that, like, how did you do the chat feature?
Oh my. So I, as kind of like a model, there was this tutorial that I ended up following, but I knew other groups were using a chat feature, and so I wanted to take it to the next level and make it group messaging. So I mean, I had read a bit about using Firestore, and it's lightning fast. So it was definitely like, yeah, we're gonna use this. And so with the tutorial that I kind of followed, I was like, okay, like that's what they're doing. And so, which meant, and then having to set up Firestore, having to like, okay, need to create a database, figure out like, okay, how do NoSQL databases work? Like I said during the demo, like I was like, oh, I'm gonna basically do this like as if I was building a SQL database. Yeah, that was not working. I'm like, how do you do? I mean, like one of my first like, not so like questions was like, oh, how do I do a join in a NoSQL? Like, yeah, joins don't exist. And I was like, oh, okay, so we need to denormalize. Like, okay, so this is okay. And, I mean, I was kind of reading, yeah, it's okay to do this. So basically building that out so that we can like grab the user data as well as the chat data, and of course, doing calls on the database so that it could, and learning the functions for that. So that I could display everything appropriately. But that was an endeavor. I mean, was it ambitious? Yeah, but we still did it.
Yeah, that was definitely impressive.
It was gonna be done.
Let's see. We got time for one last question, I think.
If no one wants to go, can you just like elaborate how the document, like the non-SQL document for the chat works? Like what are the key information there? Just
So we have so there's an array of messages with basically message maps. We also stored like the user's email, so that's kind of how we made sure that chats weren't duplicated and how we knew like who was part of what chat. And of course, we also stored user data in the chats. Like that. Well, I mean, the broader setup was we had a collection for chats and also a collection for users. And so this was all. I mean, this was also as like I said, like users are created, it's sending to both Postgres and it's talking to Postgres and Firestore. But that's kind of the basic schema for our Firestore.
Cool. Thanks so much, We Rise. We're going to go ahead and rotate on now, but great work. So best of luck in your next rotation here. And then for people who are hanging with me in this call, make sure to fill out another one of those forms so they can give them some feedback. And that's still in the link to the chat, the same link you can follow and fill out.
Thank you, everybody.
And then welcome to the incoming Zuvio.
Hello, hello.
All your pet needs in one convenient website.
Yes.
hello guys.
Hello.
Yeah, congratulations on your job. Hey, Orido. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, congratulations on your work. It was like an amazing app. Yeah,
you.
could be proud of.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Question?
We're open to questions, comments.
Inside of your application.
Repeat that. Someone said something.
Sorry, how did you get the video call feature inside your application?
So the video call feature was extremely difficult, and it was something that we had to learn. We utilize WebRTC and Socket.io and something else called Simple Peer, which is a library. Essentially, Simple Peer wraps the WebRTC, and we use Socket.io to create the sockets to communicate and send the signal back and forth.
That sounds extremely complex. I'm glad you got it down because it looked very beautiful inside the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you guys also went with a non-SQL database or an SQL one?
So we actually did both. We used the SQL database, and then we actually used the the cloud database as well, which I think made it somewhat easier when pulling all the information, because essentially we just wanted our pet owners to communicate with our vets. So I think being able to pull from separate databases, depending on what you needed, made it a little bit easier.
Flexible.
Yeah.
If I understood well, you used the Firebase only for the chat, and the rest is SQL, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Got it. So like if I make an event and set the date in the calendar and whatnot, that ends up going to your SQL database?
Yes. So the events are linked to the SQL database, and the messaging would be linked to the Firebase database.
Gotcha. And what did you use for the, just because I'm looking at it now. Here's the link for anyone who wants to poke around in it here, because this is on Netlify now. What do you use for that little calendar widget?
So that we used React Calendar, and React Calendar, it comes out the box, and to get like the dates to show up on the calendar, essentially we just had to pass in an array full of dates utilizing a function that they provided to us, and pass in an array full of dates, and according to how we wanted to style it, that's how it displays on the calendar. And then when you click on each date, there's a function that fires to be able to go and go view that actual date or the task for that date.
That makes sense. I gotta say too, I love the little demo feature that you had built in. That was all right.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a very nice touch. I think definitely make sure that you include that on the deployed version out.
Appreciate it.
Cool. What other questions we got?
It's your app is like two-sided, right? Like you have the regular users and you have the vets as well. Do you have like any? How did you handle this? Like how do you make sure you have the right information for the right logged in user?
So with our vets portal, our vets, when they're able to create an account, it's actually going to the cloud database. So that made it a little bit easier, where it's like if we need the vets, we're pulling from one place versus the users where we're pulling from another place. I don't know if that answered your question.
I think so. So let's say I go to the vets portal and I try to log in with my credential from a regular user. Will it let me in or no?
No, it will not let you in because that will not be created. That information is not in the cloud database. So pull from it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem.
Just to follow up on that, I guess for when you have a veterinarian signing up for this, how do you guys plan on managing that, making sure that they are, who they say they are, they're certified? Do you guys have any plans to handle that?
So right now, that's why we had put the inquiries page. We are going to, we do have to dive more into like security and stuff like that, and seeing what's the best way that it can handle, I guess, like for our app to handle the security measures. But for now, we thought it would be cool to if they send the information and it's coming to Zuvio staff, and then, Zuvio team can reach out to them and checking IDs, and of course, doctor credentials or things like that. I don't know, like their ID numbers, things like that. So yeah, that's what we have so far.
We want to make sure that your pets or everyone's pets don't get serviced by a random doctor that just says that they're a doctor. So the inquiry is what we have so far, and hopefully in the near future we'll be able to figure out another way to verify them.
Yeah, and to piggyback off what Danny stated, when they submit an inquiry, the Zuvio staff would verify and give them a special token that they can use to sign up. And if you don't have that token, you just can't be a vet at the moment.
The icons, do you guys make those yourself? Do you guys find them? Like, they are super adorable. Just curious. And in regards to logo, I just want to know who made it. They're really nice. I love the icons.
With the icons, we used Flaticon. Flaticon, you can just sign up for an account and just choose whatever icon you want to use, and it's like there's a whole bunch of icons there. And as far as like the illustrations, we use I think it was something from like Dribble or something like that, or I forgot. I can give you the exact one, but for the illustrations, we got the illustrations from like a site that has like a list or a database of illustrations that you can just choose what type of illustration you want and search for it, and it just gives you those illustrations.
Yeah, I think those definitely added. It makes your application feel just a lot more clean and polished. It's nice to look at.
Thank you.
Let's see. We got one last question from anyone. I mean, I'll take it then. What was the thing that was the most fun to build?
I don't know. I don't know. Everything was fun to build. Everything was fun to build. Just going through that process of building, it's kind of, for me, I would say is like a love-hate relationship. So while you're like, you have something in your head as an idea, you're trying to get it to show up on the screen, and you're trying to like get this idea out, but things may not work the way that you want it to work. But then when you do finally get it to work, it's like a relief. So I would say that would be the fun part. The journey would be the fun part for me personally.
Yeah,
I like it.
I liked. I know it's like cliche, but like when we started doing Bootstrap and everything like that, and seeing the design really come together, like I appreciate that everyone loves it. But like when I started seeing it come together, I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna be amazing!" So that was a lot of fun for me too. Like I knew the functionality was great, but like people that don't necessarily understand it don't understand how much it takes, but they love to see a beautiful app. So I think it got both people that don't understand tech and then people that do. You know,
for sure. I think that's great. Cool. Thanks so much, Zuvio. And now I'll have you go rotate in as Tinny starts to make their way inside. And again, for non-presenting folks, there's a link again in chat that you can use to fill out some feedback. And then welcome, Tinny. How are y'all doing?
Good. How are you guys? Doing great.
Tinny, right? Itinerary. That's you, right?
Yep. Yes.
I guess.
The idea is hopefully to make it as ubiquitous as Google.
You guys hear me? Sorry, I'm having like problems on my end, but can you guys hear me?
Yeah, your audio's coming through fine.
Oh, okay, cool. I just wanted to say really fast before we start asking questions that I remember when we applied to Pursuit, one of the first applications like I had in mind was creating something basically that Trinity is. So I'm like super impressed that you guys even managed to put that together. It's crazy seeing like an idea you have like become a reality. It's just so crazy. It's sick. Yeah. That.
Hey guys, you did an amazing job. Sorry, Anasa, for interrupting you.
Oh no, it's okay. I mean, you can go.
Ooh, got Tinny up right here. Great. So let's see. Everything starts to blur, but thank you for bringing this up. Right, you had the drag feature, right? That was something that you had in your app for itinerary planning. Talk to me about how you implemented that. That was cool. I like that.
Okay, so we can log in, but we don't necessarily have to. So we also have trending topics. So let's click a trending topic just for ease. I'm gonna add this 1 hour into our itinerary, and then we'll just add it again so we can display the drag and drop. So you're basically able to drag and drop items from top to bottom or bottom to top, however you please, and time gets updated as soon as you drop it. You're also able to change the time, and when you click you're ready, that also gets implemented as well, and that works with the drag and drop as well.
That's cool. But like, how can you drag things? Like that's not a thing you can do on a list item. But what framework lets you do that?
So there's a library called React drag and drop that works with our material UI perfectly. So we were able to, with a lot of reading documentation and everything, we were able to implement that into our drag and drop. With that, the time itself, knowing because this is a global state, we used React toolkit, and they let us like slice and manipulate the actual state. So as soon as you drop, we use the new location of where that item is, and we update the slice, as well as running a function in the back that updates the time and takes care of the time itself.
Okay, so it's not like there's a, I mean, are they inside of a like parent component that's holding both of them that's managing that, or is like you're just tossing it off to the kind of like global reducer and then they're just figuring it out from there?
No, so this so right now this is in like a list component.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So to continue on that, it's kind of, let's say you have an array of 2 elements now, right? And each element is like all the information about the event, and then when you switch, kind of you reverse their indices, or kind of you move it from there.
If you want, I could bring up the code.
Yes, please. That would be great.
So our current itinerary. So this is our slice. So this is our global state. This right here is a function that handles time. That runs in 3 different locations. Once when you add an item, once when you drag and drop, and once when you change the actual time of the start of your itinerary. I later found out that there's probably like a library that can help me maneuver time better, but I pretty much did it manually, turning time into an object, doing what I had to do with it, and then turning it back to a string. This right here, this is my reorder. So this state basically runs every time something is dropped. So we don't care about dragging, we care about dropping. That means something has been added. So with this reorder, I'm pretty much able to splice and then add it back into where the person dropped the item. And because React Toolkit in the background stores that state just in case, I'm able to manipulate that state using splice and then return the new state.
Neat. Yeah, it's a cool feature.
Thank you.
So talk to me more about the map integration. What was that like?
The map integration was a doozy, to say the least. The load script that comes straight from Google isn't the most friendly. There are a couple of NPM packages, and that is where I learned that reading is fundamental, because at first I installed the deprecated React package. So I was like, oh, why doesn't this work? I was having a huge problem getting the map to recenter. It just kept appearing in San Francisco. And then after I looked at the issues and upgraded to the new one, the map imports easily as a component. We did have a problem where they use a hook to import the load script for ease of use. But because we have other things running from Google, like our autocomplete, which comes from Google Places and not Google Maps, that was a little bit of debugging where we realized that the script was running twice. Because we developed everything in independent components and then merged them together, everything worked fine individually, and then when we merged it, it broke. The components that come with the package are super functional. There are a ton of them. Google Maps, whenever you sit down and read the documentation, has almost limitless functionality. Anything you've actually ever seen on Google Maps on their website, you can do here. For instance, if Doug were to drag that little man there and place him at an intersection, the little man on the map, we do have our street view.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I didn't know that you just got like first party access to all that.
Yep, and you can strip functionality. So I did limit some functionality that I didn't think a user would need. For instance, the ability to do full screen or get a satellite view. I think for the purposes of our app, limiting that functionality just made more sense so that they could see what's on the map and focus on that.
That's cool. Yeah, I think that integration looks very clean there. Cool. I know we only got a minute or so left. And this is all in the free tier of the Google Maps API, I assume?
Yes, we did use 2 separate API keys to get all of our calls to work because we had to make sure we didn't run through all of our calls in testing, which was something that we had happen a few times with Yelp. We were just testing so much that it broke.
I've seen that with Yelp. Especially ones that don't have API keys and just do it on my IP, take it down for everyone. Back when we were in the physical space. But that's super great. I think that these integrations make a lot of sense. I think there's tons of features, right? You have a chat feature in this as well?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. That was a future feature.
It will be a future feature. The direction that we envision Tinny going that we didn't list on our as a part of our slides is that we want to allow users to eventually share curated itineraries. So for instance, if you've never been to San Diego, here's the hit itinerary in San Diego that you can then import and annotate. And that way people will be able to leave comments, leave ratings. I did it, I proposed here.
Yeah, that's a good place to go for sure. Cool. Thanks very much, Tinny. We're going to have everyone rotate now. So go on to your next group. And then for people sticking around here, make sure that you can go ahead and fill out some of that feedback form to give them a little bit of an indication on what you liked and what's some good areas, some good next steps to look at. So thanks again, Tinny.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night. Good job, guys.
You still doing good here?
Yeah, I'm trying to move.
Oh yeah, no worries. That's meant for our breakout crew. I think the group's got a little imbalance in some of the shuffling. That's good. We get a more intimate approach, right?
Yeah, sounds like.
I think we got lucky. We got to just be 4 or 5 of us just kind of hanging out with the group. You get to ask, you get to say, hey, I want to see how you built this reducer, and then they get to show you, right?
Yeah, you get like more chances to see, more, to see more, to ask more, know more.
For sure. Neato. We'll see who's coming in next. How's everyone doing? Yep, coming in. All right, we have Trip Hikers coming in.
Hey guys.
Welcome, Trip Hikers.
Hello, everybody.
How are we all doing?
Good, relieved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's good demoing.
Thank you. We worked really hard on that. We spent like all weekend trying to perfect our demo.
Yeah. Your main page UI is good. I like it feels like a website that I would see. It's got the look to it.
It took like 3 hours. I think it was the most I spent on anything, and it wasn't even like logic based. It was just trying to figure out the right elements, the coloring.
That stuff takes way longer in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, do you have responsiveness working for this?
No, actually, time constraints.
I got you.
Put that for later.
Do you have that nice bottom bar though?
Yeah.
And I tried to check out your Instagram, but it's on private. So.
Oh.
Did you follow him on Instagram?
Well, I don't have an Instagram, so.
So when you join our Tripracker, like.
Yeah. So talk to me about the. Let's see. So how are all of these requests and how are all those stored? First.
Yeah.
So you've got the requests that you got to store, and then you've also got the chat stuff you got to store, right? Like, how do you actually manage to persist all that? Kind of what does your architecture look like there?
So the chats are we're using Firebase Firestore for that. So we're using the NoSQL
easy. That Firebase has a lot of methods built in to where we can get the live feature. As far as everything else goes, we're pretty much just strictly using our SQL tables. And we have, I think, 7 or 8 tables, all of them like interacting with at least 1 or 2. We have our trips table that connects to our users, a trip requests, and a trip travelers. So when you send a request, you get added to this trip request table. And then once that's been accepted, you are removed from there and added into the traveler section with both the trip ID and the user's ID. And the same functionality goes for friends and friend requests.
I like that Dutch right there. It's nice. Cool. So, but I can keep going. Anyone else here have questions?
Yeah, just quick one regarding of what you said, like for relationships. You said you have like a pending table, and then when it's confirmed, you remove it from there and you put it in the actual one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you envisage like kind of doing request and then pending, like a column for pending, true or false? And what make you use like this approach of like 2 tables?
I don't know if there was a specific reason. I did think about having it a is accepted column, where like I think even in the table that column is still there because it was something that I was just testing out. But I just thought for visual purposes for myself when I'm looking at the table in P-SQL, it might be easier for me to see what's been accepted and what's missing and grabbing data. The query was just a little bit easier where I wouldn't have to check if the user was also accepted to the trip.
All right, thank you. Also, did you get like any difficulties using Google Map?
Yeah, there was a lot of difficulties going into that. We initially had started with actually 3 different maps, all having different functionalities, and combining those things together was really difficult because you have the map having to update and re-render, but you don't want to do too many re-renders before you start breaking the application. That was definitely something to consider, and there's just so many arguments going in. Whether it's the latitude, longitude, panning, zooming, those are all kind of different as well. And just for example, just like locate me, and just so many arguments going in, and it was definitely quite a challenge, but we knew it was something vital to our application.
You mentioned you had custom pins. Is that something you built into the map? What that look like?
Yeah. So we definitely wanted to differentiate between just regular pins that Google offers, and we wanted to make the application kind of unique to us. So we were considering like hotspots, like, hey, like something really, really, really exciting to go to. And so, for example, as more users will be able to sign up and use it, they'll be able to submit their hotspots. And if you sign up as a different user, you'll be able to see the same exact hotspots as we have. Everything's being pulled from our database, and it's working locally all on our online database and as well as Firebase, because there was many things to consider, just the data storage of our images and the coordinates, the title, the description, who posted it, directions to there. Just,
how are you storing images right now?
Do you want to go, Isaiah?
Yeah, it's also using Firebase. So when the user submits a hotspot, what happens is it runs an upload picture from function that we have written that uploads it to Firebase, and it returns back a URL, and we save that URL in the hotspot table as our image.
Gotcha. So how does that scale? Like, how much data can you currently support with the tier that you're at Firebase?
It's, I believe, 10 gigs. I believe that's what it's at.
Which is like, I don't know, a dozen iPhone photos or something. iPhone photos are just massive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something definitely we took into consideration. like one of our future implementations we were considering was having videos as well. We think it would be a pretty neat feature, but just thinking about the data and how much information would have to go into that, we thought of, for the launch of the application, we'll start off with images, and then as it grows, we'll be able to go down that avenue.
That's definitely a good idea. Images will get up to that limit pretty quickly, and then you start paying a lot for it. But I think using it just like Firebase storage, right?
Yeah.
To actually store your images there, and then just store the URLs in SQL makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
If we go back to the map, you said like you have those pins, like the hotspots, and then you store their coordinate in your database. Is that true?
So there's a couple of functions going on there. That information is stored in our database and Firebase as well. It's a lot of information being fetched, and so when a user posts a new marker or a new hotspot, your map will actually re-render. That's why you saw when we posted our image, it showed up live, and it will show up for everyone else. It's constantly looking for data, any changes. So if, for example, Isaiah was to post a photo right now, I'll be able to see that as he posts it.
Cool. Great. Sorry to cut you off there. I just want to make sure that we can get to see everyone. You've got other contact info. You got their Instagram. But thank you, Trip Bikers. And then for people in the room, if you get a chance, make sure to fill out an evaluation for them to give them some feedback. So thank you, Trip Bikers. Then we'll continue our rotations.
Thank you, guys. Great work. Great work. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your questions.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see who's coming in next. Who have we not seen yet? My head blocking them. WeRise, we've seen Afrolink, and that's gonna be our last group, I think. And Afrolink is coming in. Welcome in, Afrolink.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, we're Afrolink, and we're the application that brings Black-owned businesses to you.
So the first question I gotta ask is, like, those look like real businesses. Are those real businesses?
They are, in fact. Yes, each and every
100%.
one of them.
So it's usually when you see an application like this, it's a bunch of mock data. How did you get a bunch of businesses and populate them? What'd that look like?
Well, we initially tried to find an API where we could source only Black-owned businesses in New York or throughout the United States, but unfortunately there was no such API. So we were forced to sort of build our own. And Kong and I actually found out about web scraping from Corey, our instructor, and
I've heard of him.
We looked up how to implement it, and Kong actually has the code on his computer, so I'm going to quit sharing for now, and he can show you the web scraping code that we did.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, so looking for, are there certain websites that list these things and you're scraping those?
Yes.
We actually got
It's just web articles, and using the web articles, we've used several. It accumulated in over 400 businesses just in New York City alone. Some are outside of the city limits, but if you do find yourself in Jersey or LA, you can still use our app.
For example, the article that we have right now is for Black-owned restaurant.
Okay.
So that's one of our categories in our website. So in here, you can see this thing has a like location, Manhattan City, and it has a like different information. So you can see the name of the store, and if you click inside, you can see their social media link that they have like in Facebook. What's this one? They have like their own website. So, but this information is not clean, it's not clean data. It's not easy to grab, So we use something called Cherio, a package that is for web scraping. Is loading the website, the website that I just show you. Once it load the website, it transfer all those things into HTML, into code. We're like programmers, you know, we understand code. So once we have the code, we see this thing has a strong, it has a tag name called strong. Inside the tag name, it has an A tag. All those A tag is our individual business.
I got it, yeah.
Okay, once you find those things, you know, you can just like go into the EL looking for, okay, grab the name, grab in the hyperlink, okay, then join those things together and just comes along to me, you know. With that information, we transfer those things to Excel. Once we have the Excel sheet, we're manually going to like each website, like a lot of them.
Okay, so got it. So it was truly a labor of love in that, you know, you like each of those categories is a hard fought for category.
Yeah.
Like that's not a like, you know, we have 8 strings and we're thinking about adding a 9th one. It's like we found a bunch of articles and really source this information and then actually research and put together. It's a lot of upfront work, but it does make it so that you have a really usable thing. That's cool. So do you actually, are you exposing those endpoints? I know you mentioned that, or if you're not, what's stopping you from just saying, hey, here's a link to an endpoint if you want to get a bunch of Black-owned businesses?
We will actually share it. We are going to share those endpoints, and partially behind that, it was the fact of how much work we had to do to actually get it, because of the fact that while we were searching for an API that provides information, there just were none, or when we did find a site, whoever the developer was weren't responding to the queries, so we just decided to let's do it from scratch.
For sure.
Oh, Boris, you can tell him how to gonna host our API.
Oh yeah, so right now our our backend and all of our endpoints is hosted using Heroku, while we use a different service to host our web application, the front end side. So what we're going to do, just not too far down the line, maybe in the coming weeks, we're going to create a new repository and host that separately from this entire project and let it be accessible. We're even going to more than likely include a link on the application for any developers that visit and decide, hey, I can actually do something else with this data that's going to be beneficial to Black businesses.
That's super cool. And then just make a GitHub repo around that. Definitely add some good documentation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. That's not everyone comes out of a capstone project by building their own API that they're going to expose. I think that's a very interesting value add.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. So what other questions we have for AfroLink? I got my own, but yeah, just seeing if anyone else has anything.
Okay, what's the proudest thing you made? Like what's the proudest feature you made?
I think I would have to say are just gathering all of this important information and making it available. Our database is probably our most valuable piece of work that we created.
And don't sleep on Maria. Maria is amazing. One of the features that I love is the carousel once you actually get onto the page, because from right there, you're just dive deep into Black-owned businesses and you're getting like a preview of what our website is bringing to you. So I definitely love that because you get that feel right away. So that's my favorite thing.
Yeah, I do think that adds a lot to it.
Thank you so much.
How did you do that carousel actually?
Let me just share my screen really quickly so that you guys can check it out. We didn't really use a lot of frameworks in this. We built it generally with just CSS, but I used a Bootstrap for this, so it was super simple. I just looked up the documentation, plugged in the pictures and the captions that I wanted to use, and I applied my own styling to sort of like make it fit into the web page, and that's how it was born. And the good thing about this is that the link below the business owner's name takes you to their about page. So you get to learn more about the business owner. We wanted to make something that mattered, something that was meaningful, so the user can get to know more about the Black entrepreneurs. And something else that I want to say I'm proud of also are all the links at the bottom on our mission statement, so that the user can find out more ways to help the Black community. And at the top as well, you can donate to the Equal Justice Initiative. So it's something that we put in a lot of love.
For sure. Makes sense.
I don't know why Kong isn't talking right now. Like he did not work his butt off to get the reply review feature working for the business owners.
Right.
That was a great implementation as well.
Because I think every functionality we work, we put our swear, you know, we put our blogs down there, you know, but because I feel like accomplished, you know, with like the whole project, you know, just not one part, you know, is everything.
For sure. So for that comment, is that all? Are you using like Firebase for any of that, or is that all in like your SQL database?
The comments and is from the SQL database, but the reply is you have to log in with Firebase, you know, with the reply because you are claimed as the business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to authenticate, but are the replies themselves still stored inside of Postgres?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to. So yeah, you have some somewhat interesting joins that you're doing on these.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting joins. So fun.
It's
Join
do
us next
you
time.
have a GitHub repo for this as well up somewhere?
Yes, actually, Brutus is hosting the GitHub repo. I don't know if you want to share it in the chat.
Yeah, if you can put the link in the chat, because I'm actually curious about seeing what your SQL stuff looks like there, because this looks like a pretty clean implementation of it.
We learned a lot of SQL this time around.
That's good. It's a good thing to know as a full stack developer.
Yeah.
Quick question: if you have a review and then the business owner respond to this review, and you're still logged in your page, you don't see it unless you refresh, right?
The response feature is only available for an authenticated user, and for now, the only user that can be authenticated is the business owner. In the future, we will have another authenticated user for the customer, but for now, it's only going to be the business owner. So once you're logged off, this reply feature is gone, actually.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, thanks so much, Afrolink, and we're all going to head back onto the main room. Just do a little bit of review here. So again, for anyone who is sticking with from consistently, you've got that form doc that you can go ahead and make sure to fill out for each of those groups. And then let me go ahead and get the link back for the main meeting.
Okay.
Which I can do here, although you have it as well since you got in the first time, I guess. But it's in chat. If you follow this link, whoa, not that link. That's the current meeting we're at. That wouldn't do anything. If you follow this link, the last link here will take you back to the meeting room. So go ahead and follow this last link back to the main meeting room, and then I'll see y'all there.
Okay.
Great job, everyone, and excited to see more about how your project develops, especially with the API.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. Have a good night.
You.
Thanks,
Cool.
Amy.
Thanks.
Congrats, guys. You did a good job.
So much. Thank you.
Back to the main room. Good.
Hi, did I click on the wrong one?
Yeah, I tricked you. It's a second link. That's on me.
Do you mind sending it again? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, right, because your chat's blocked now. Hang on. I stayed for a second because I know I was going to get someone with that.
It happened to me.
You see it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool.
But